You can achieve is the wrong word, but experience that on retreats, a lot of sitting practice. There's an old kangan about an old woman back in the Buddha's time who went into samadhi, where her meditation was so deep that she was not in relationship to the people around her, and not able to respond. And supposedly she was sitting next to where the Buddha was going to be sitting to give a talk, and she wasn't supposed to be there, and people complained, and Buddha said, well, you wake her up. And this really high-class person goes up and tries to bring her out of samadhi, and unsuccessfly. And then this low-class person came around and walked around her 3 times, and out she came. So there's a bunch of teaching in that story, not just about samadhi, but it's possible to go very deep into the moment. My oldest brother started meditating, doing transcendental meditation. And he'd do that every day. And he came home from college and was meditating in his room. And our dad knocked on his door. There was no answer. Knocked, no answer. So he went in. And there was Artie just sitting there, not responding. And our dad, who was a doctor, got really worried. I mean, he went up to him and said, Artie, nothing. Art, nothing. And there are medical conditions, And so it really worried him. But then he finished meditating and came out of it. And one time he and I were traveling to go hiking in the White Mountains, and he said, I'm going to meditate for a few minutes. So I was driving, and he went into his meditation, and I took a turn, and I went the wrong way. And I'm driving for quite a while, and then figured it out and turned around. He came out of his meditation, and he said, I noticed that the sun was coming the wrong direction, that you had taken a wrong turn. Hello? He didn't bother to come out of it and help us. So that sort of points to samadhi. It's a wonderful place to be. I mean, it really is. It can be the first time. I don't know. My first long retreat, I was having a tremendous amount of pain in one knee. And I didn't know that, if you have pain that doesn't go away when you get up and walk, we teach, don't sit like that. Find another way or mix it up so that because you're doing damage. Well, I didn't know that. And so I just sat with it. Sunim understands this. Because sitting with pain, you go through it and get to this very samadhi place, that's quite satisfying. But meanwhile, I popped a cyst in the back of my knee, just out of ignorance. But now I like to very clearly teach, if you have pain, still when you stand up, some discomfort we all get when we sit, but if you get up and start walking and you still have that pain, then find some other positions to alternate with, because you can do damage that you'll just have to live with. So that speaks to samadhi a bit. The clear mind is is being present and available, and still it can be very solid and deep, and yet available to the moment. So that if something is needed, then you can reach out and help. It's more like that. And I'm so grateful to that Zen Master Sun San brought that here. He came from a monastic community in Korea, and with a lot of emphasis on samadhi practice. But he came to this country with mostly lay people, and how do you practice? How do you teach lay people to practice so that it actually, we can integrate practice in our everyday life? And it's not like that. There's a long tradition of teaching clear mind in Zen practice. And a good example is many of you would have heard of Zen Master Joju, and his teacher was Zen Master Namchan, who taught him, who actually gave him one of those watershed moments when he said to him, Zen mind is everyday mind. Not thinking mind, not blankness, just everyday mind. When you're driving, just drive, just as Sunim was talking about. When we're taking a sip of water, just taste the water. That when we see someone who's hungry, give them food. When we're thirsty, take a drink. That's all. When we're sitting, my sister-in-law tried meditating way back when she and my brother were living in Worcester, in a very noisy, busy part of Worcester. And she tried meditating, and the noise around her apartment was so big. It was a very student area and kind of a rundown, not so safe area, so there's a lot going on. And she tried meditating, and she really wanted it to be quiet. And she wanted that so much that she went into a closet and closed the door to try and get some quiet, and got locked in.
Oh, no. She was living alone?
No, finally she got out, and my brother came home and let her out. But for me, that's always been this wonderful example of how our ideas can get us in trouble. How when we really think that things should be a certain way, and we go to extremes to try and make it that way, and we just get caught by that idea of our attachment to that idea of how we think it should be. How is it? That's really our practice. How is it just now, this moment, exactly as it is? Sunim said I'd talk about this. Over the centuries, different Zen masters have used different tools to help their students wake up. Some of you will have heard my little spiel about this in interview. But one was famous for taking his Zen stick and beating his monks with it, his students, just wake up. Another was famous for the Zen belly shout. If you see written K-A-T-Z, Katz, this is what it's referring to. Ha! And just this belly shout that helps cut off thinking. Guji Zen Master, whole different style, any kind of question. He'd hold up one finger. Desan Sanim brought us this. None of them are magical or special. They point to when we're doing something, do it. Do it completely. Just like Sunim's talking about how to drive. Just when you notice that mind has wandered, hone it back in. What am I doing now? And do it. Anytime we do anything completely, then there's no separation. You know, every time that we start separating the world into pieces, it's just because we're adding on legs onto a snake. Daesung brought that. I'm sure that's some old teaching phrase, but everything is already perfect and complete. That's supposedly the Buddha's first words after attaining enlightenment. Everything, everyone, this whole universe is already perfect and complete. But we don't believe it, right? Anytime we do anything completely, then that's already clear. And every single person here in this room, multiple times in your day, do something completely. There are many moments of clear mind, many, for each one of us. We just don't notice because they're not strung together, you know, so that they're obvious. In athletics, it's called the zone. In art and music, it's called the flow by some people. We all recognize what we're talking about. And so we practice that. We practice being present, this moment, as it unfolds, because there's no other moment. It's just this unfolding moment. So how is it just now?